Hey guys, welcome back to the Tough Love Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about this popular parable that was often attributed to Native American, especially Cherokee, about the tale of two wolves. And this is kind of how it goes. An old Cherokee grandfather is teaching his grandson about life. He says, "A fight is going on inside me," he said to the boy. "It's a terrible fight, and it's between two wolves. One is evil. He is angry. Envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The same fight is going inside you and inside every other person too." The grandson thought about it for a minute, and then he asked his grandfather, "Which wolf will win, grandfather?" The old man simply replied, "The one you feed." Guys, today's broadcast is about procrastination versus performance. So I thought the story of two wolves was great because much to that end, when we talk about getting things done, and I don't care whether it's self-care or work or relationship, there's always two sides to yourself. It's procrastinating, talking about why you can't get it done versus, and again, that's procrastination versus performance. How do I get it done and how fast? And so today we're going to roll that into something as simple for me that is food prep, right? And how this could tie in is that so many people are telling me when they're asking me about food, how do you make time for it? And again, it's what I make a decision to do, right? And now I've done it really quick. And so let's share some of that today. And then you can understand that instead of procrastinating, how really easy it is when you execute a plan. And then all of a sudden that plan turns into performance, performance turns into results, results turn into a great feeling of satisfaction in that you've accomplished your goals, whether it's fitness goals, self-image goals or whatever that is. And again, that all translates into a happy person. So when I take a look at what I do and how fast I do it when it comes to food prep, it's super easy. I was talking with a friend that I met at the gym that's a huge nutrition and fitness guy. And he's doing his first fitness show this year, which one runs great with his business. I think he's one of the primary owners for Jersey Shore Supplements. And he was saying, we were talking about chicken tenders and how they work with his diet. And I said, absolutely. And then I said, you know what? Let's talk about efficiency. So you rip open one of these Bell and Evans chicken packages, you throw it in a 1 gallon Ziploc bag. I take a little sea salt, a little black pepper, and sugar-free barbecue sauce. I throw it in there. I mix it all up, throw it in the refrigerator for like a half hour. And during that time, I put in 2 cups of jasmine rice, 4 cups of water, 1 big scoop of coconut oil, and I spray the bottom of the pot first so it doesn't stick, and I have that going. So now, again, all in 60 minutes, this is happening. I have the barbecue turned on. So now I'm on to, the next thing, which is chop up my zucchini, throw that into my wok pan. Thanks to Chef James Avery, my man hooked me up with it. I love my wok pan. Again, I throw a little avocado oil in there, red pepper, black pepper, a little garlic powder, and some sea salt. That's going. Simultaneously, I got my oven cooking, and I just fired up my air fryer. Air fryer has 4 sweet potatoes, which I use my ruffle fry thing, which I don't know what it's called. Again, I'm not a chef, but I'll tell you again, I'm only about 20 minutes into this and I already have 3 days worth of meals in the works, right? So as this is going, I chop those up. I throw them in another gallon bag. I throw a little avocado oil in there with black pepper, hot pepper, garlic, and sea salt. Shake that all up. I spray the air fryer pan, throw that in. That's going for 24 minutes. Now, the tricky part is to get to the barbecue. So the barbecue is good. I throw avocado high temperature spray on it, make sure it's all clean. I grab my chicken tenders, lay that out across, and now I start working with my timers. Every 2 to 3 minutes, I flip over the chicken. The chicken's done in 5 flips, which is approximately 13 to 15 minutes. I have my Tupperware out, or my food prep glassware out. I don't use plastic too much anymore because of the whole leaching thing. I think I can't think of his name at the moment, escaped me, but one of Osprey or one of those guys, or Gary Brecka, scared the hell out of me with the plastic leaching into my food. So I don't use that anymore. And so I have the chicken going, pull that out, sweet potato fries, probably have about 10 minutes left. The zucchinis coming to perfection. I drop that in, and I have the rice, which I just pulled off, get it to a boil. I kick it back for 15 minutes, and I'm already starting to clean the dishes, and I'm ready to go. I have my glassware out for 6. I have like 6 of the different dishes going. And again, what am I telling you about here? I'm telling you about efficiency, right? And it's super fun. I didn't grow up cooking, right? My wife would tell you, she's like, in the last couple of years, I'm definitely a different person. And in an hour, I am cooking, prepping. If the sink is clean, I don't have to contend with, the kids' stuff in there. I have everything cleaned and ready to go. Like I was never there with, 6 to 9 meals already in my outdoor refrigerator, ready to go, or packed in my cooler. And the one thing I realized is that if I would look back, or I hear people talk about it, they're like, that's a daunting task. I'm like, no, it's not. What's the daunting task is you thinking about it and you overanalyze, or what they call, I think Tony Robbins said this as far as analysis paralysis, that you think yourself into a freeze zone as opposed to acting. And I just jump in. And, the one thing that I would say is that if you want to go, far with transformation, you have to bet on yourself every single day, and you have to push yourself every single day. Because unless you're ridiculously well off and you're going to be having somebody cook for you or dealing with meal prep, and again, I've done both and I've had all of that, right? I've been in really great places financially, and I've been in places where I got to make my own food. But what I love at this stage is, sure, I could have somebody make it. This holds me accountable. This makes me use a scale, measure the food, see what I'm eating, see what I like, see what my body likes. And at the end of the day, I have to tell you that it's not anything. This whole podcast is not about cooking. It's about execution. It's about eliminating procrastination. And you can apply that to anything you're doing in life, whether it's, kids filling out, college transcripts, or, resumes, or applications, or updating your website. If you have a plan and you jump on it and you execute, it's done. Check the box, move on to your next thing. And for me with the food prep, as fast as I rolled through that, and some people are going to catch this midway and say, what in the hell is he talking about? It is about execution. It's about sitting there and saying, okay, what's my objective? What is the result I'm looking for? You know what? A few weeks ago, I did my first fitness show. I won it for my age group. I was super proud of myself. And again, I looked at it like, hey, the job's not done. I want to win my pro card. Excuse me. And it's something that, I want to do for me. It's something that's like, hey, listen, you know what? It's great for business, but in transitioning from being a basketball trainer on court, now it's been, practically 5 years, since COVID, that I was out on the court with the kids. And, I see those kids and they're like, Doc, do you still do that? I'm like, no, I don't do that anymore. And that was my identity. And now they're like, man, I can't believe how fit you are. I'm like, this is something I'm pursuing. It gives me the ability to compete against myself every single day. And, I guess the micro skills that it teaches me, as far as, I love the posts or reels that talk about, you got up today, but you were super sore, but you didn't stop. So in that transition, the one thing I realized is if you're that kind of person that you need a competition to stay locked in, or need to be competing with yourself, that was me. And that's who I am. And that's who I'll always be. The fitness competitions allow me to have that reason. And going back to what I was saying about what I love in looking at Instagram, and I was listening to a huge influencer talk about this the other day, is that try to watch things that inspire you to be a better version of yourself. And I love those reels or those stories that talk about, I was blessed to wake up today. I woke up and I was sore. I had an ache or a pain, but I didn't stop. That I have injuries and they've taught me wisdom, and yet I've kept going. And all of that whole journey was about, fortitude and courage and willpower to see your way through adversity. And again, that's something that I think is a huge part of the process. So again, procrastination versus performance. For me, all of these little things, all these little changes have created a remarkably, sharp level of skills and a set of, priorities that are transforming how I prioritize what's important to me. And I think in communicating that for anybody, I think that whether I'm coaching somebody in a practice and they're saying, I don't have time to market, I don't have time to get my social media done, I don't have time to do this. I'm like, well, what do you have time for? Because you wouldn't have reached out to me if you were perfectly happy. So you have to prioritize what you need to change. And until you make that decision, I think you're going to be pretty unhappy with where you are. And that's something that, I work with and I square off with every single day with myself is, if you're not happy in your current situation, you got to break that down and see what the why is. And if you can't clearly determine what that is, then you have to do a better job of, studying yourself and what makes you you. And when you unravel that, you're going to see that your happiness, your production, your performance goes through the roof. And, and that's one thing that I'll say that's been a game changer for me. I know the other thing that I've been really happy about is when we talk about procrastination and performance, at least for me, the new wellness company that we got tied into, I ran into a patient that's been a patient of ours for years. And, it was one of those patients that it just clicked with, no matter how busy I was, no matter how, much I felt like my ego was as big as the room or whatnot. She always brought me down to earth, almost like a brother-sister connection. And she's in kind of a winter part of her life where she feels like she's last and she's not taking care of herself and she's falling apart and she's gaining weight and she's around that menopause era that she feels she's losing her femininity and that her identity is everything about taking care of everybody else but her. And I said, hey, share your diet with me, share this with me, open up to me, let me see. And she dumped in and I said, listen, I'm here to help, but I'm going to tell you right now, just like this podcast you're listening to, I am tough love. I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to hear and maybe not what you want to hear. But if you want to make radical changes, then you need to resonate on what you're not doing and what you should do and what's the disconnect. And if I have to be that person for 30, 60, 90 days to get you there, so be it. We may not be friends when it's all said and done, but if you get there, you'll always look back and say, if it wasn't for that person sitting on me so hard, caring about me more than I was caring about myself, I would have never accomplished what I once thought was impossible. So anyway, I hope that person gets to hear that podcast and about them, because I believe they're going to do something amazing this year. And I'm so excited to be that pain in the ass they need to get to where they got to go. So at any rate, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Again, today's podcast, to me, it was pretty funny because I think you got to listen to it a couple times to get the message. But at the end of the day, stop procrastinating and start performing, start executing now and stop waiting for, that thing to happen, get it done. And, you'll start seeing results and you'll start being a more complete and more fulfilled person. Thank you so much for joining us today. And again, if you enjoyed the podcast, please share it, like it, and look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Take care.